Hey guys, it's Cass here, and today I'm doing my July wrap-up. So, if you don't somehow know, I keep fucking banging on about it, so you probably do. I've been in a bit of a slump in June, into July, and therefore I read less in July than I have in any other month previously this year. I still read some stuff, don't get me wrong, but not as much as I normally do. I just was not in the reading mood. Just wasn't what I was about. So let's just smash on into this small wrap up. First up, I read Nailbiter Volume 1, There Will Be Blood. This is set in this specific town where it's boasted the most serial killers of loads of them come from this certain town. And then this detective, his partner goes missing in this town, and then he goes there to try and figure out what's happened to him, what's going on. And he feels like he wants a bit of help from a serial killer called the Nailbiter. So it was a pretty fun time. This is the sort of artwork in here, if you can see it. There we go. So yeah, definitely want to carry this one on. It was a bit gruesome, twosome, a bit mysterious. You don't know what's going on. There's weird stuff happening. There's different murderers sort of like, I'm in here as well. So yeah, it was a fun time. Next up, I read Checkmate by Mallory Blackman. This is part of the Noughts and Crosses series, the third book in the series. It feels like it could be a trilogy, but also there's another book after that, and then another book that came out 10 years after that. So I don't know if they're necessary to read, but they're both at my library on ebooks, so I'm gonna read them at some point. But yeah, this one, I feel like I don't want to go too much into it because loads happens in the first book, Noughts and Crosses, and then loads happens in the next one, and then this is the third. So I don't want to tell you about the synopsis of this, but the synopsis of the whole story in general is basically that race is kind of flipped on its head. So black people are in power, they're in all the positions of authority, and white people are the ones that have been oppressed, that are seen as second-class citizens. And it's all about politics and life and trying to fight for power. And also there's a love story in here, but it's not really lovey-dovey. You know, sometimes it's like, oh, it's YA, love conquers all, they're gonna get together and everything's gonna somehow become amazing. That's not how this goes. This is more realistic. Like, oh, these two teenagers are in love, so fucking what? That's not gonna change the whole world. We're still out here needing to fight for powers. So yeah, it's a really great series. I feel like a lot of people have read this, or maybe also a lot of people missed out on it because I did the first time round. So if you haven't read it, give it a go because it's really, really good. Goes places that you would not expect it to go. Not tropey in the slightest. Next, I read Ghost Boys by Jewel Parker Rhodes. This is middle grade, about a boy, young boy, I think he's 12, who gets shot and killed by police, and it basically follows him as a ghost going around trying to figure out what's going on. He meets other ghosts and sees other ghosts. Also, one of the ghosts he talks to in here is Emmett Till, so obviously that's a real life story that happened, a real life thing, a real life crime, that Emmett Till was murdered by people for doing something that he didn't actually do, and he was a young black child. So it's very poignant, but it's written in a way that, obviously because it's middle grade, that young children could read it and understand it, but it also doesn't pull any punches. Like, going in here straight away, it's him getting shot by the police and dying, and then it goes back and forward, him as a ghost, and then him before he got shot and what was happening and what led up to that. And also it follows like the procedure of whether these police officers are gonna go to court for it, whether there's enough evidence to prove that they did something wrong. I mean, a young child is dead, but apparently, you know, that's not evidence enough. And the only human who can see him as a ghost is the daughter of the cop that shot him. So there's a lot of stuff going on there of her and how she feels, and what she's dealing with is the same age. She's the same age as him, and, you know, trying to process that. Her father obviously is her father, but he's also killed somebody that's the same age as her. So it was good. It was super quick to read because it's middle grade, just fly through it, but definitely worth a read. We're about halfway through. I know I've talked about 3 books and we're halfway through, so here's a message from one of our sponsors, and see you in a sec. Hey Mance, do you think everyone should subscribe? Yeah? What are you saying? Yeah? Do you think everyone should sub? Yeah? He doesn't want the catnip, I swear. He just wants everyone to sub. Next, I read Us 3 by Mia Carrick. This is, I think it's a duology because I've got a number 2. I don't know if it goes on for further. But it's basically about these 3 boys who fall in love and become a polyamorous relationship-y type thing. But it's done in a slow burn way. They don't just all of a sudden get together and then, you know. It's done in a way where they're kind of feeling it out that, I like him, but I kind of like him. They're all, don't know what's going on. Basically, they get put in a project at school and then they have to meet up and stuff. One of the boys is bullied quite a lot, and it's a group of girls that bully him, so that's a nice little different thing, because normally it's like boys that bully, so it's good to show that girls are also bitches. Boys are bitches, bullies are bitches. And then one of the other ones is kind of the moody, angsty, doesn't really talk a lot, seen as just a brute and not clever, and people just kind of ignore him because he's weird. And then the other one is like popular, he's friends with the people who bully the other guy. I know I'm saying no names, but you know me, I'm just not about them names. I'll just say him, that, other guy, this person. It's how I roll. But yeah, I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I've got the second book, so potentially I'll read that in August. We'll see. I did genuinely want to carry on and find out what happens next, so yeah. Not for the faint-hearted. It starts off with quite a big bullying thing that was mean. After that, I read Teacher's Dead by Benjamin Zephaniah. This one, unfortunately, I didn't like it as much as I hoped I would. It just felt like the way it was written was really just, it was just written basically, and it didn't feel like there's any personality or any characterization to any of the characters. It's told by a young lad, I think he's like 14 or 15, and he just doesn't feel like he has a teenage essence, if that makes any sense whatsoever. But basically, this is about well, it's told by this one teenager, and he sees his teacher getting murdered, getting stabbed by these other lads in his class, and it's basically about him using this whole mystery of why it happened and who these guys are, what their background is, you know, they've been brought up, their parents, their families. He's trying to use all that to sort of process the fact that he saw a murder, and it is him, and he kind of teams up with the teacher's wife, and they're trying to figure out what's going on. There's a bit of a mystery there, and it was easy enough to read. It was interesting, but like I say, they felt like there wasn't enough characterization. All of the characters just seemed like the same, whether it was a wife of a teacher or a 15-year-old boy. And also, the ending was so quick, it was crazy. There was all this build up, what's happening, there's a little bit of a mystery. And then literally, like 2 pages at the end, they went, oh well, this, and then that, and then that. Like, really? It's a little bit too fast for me of a wrap up. I like to actually get the story done properly. Instead of, because it was quite slow for a while. In the middle it was kind of slow, they were just chilling, they'd meet up, they'd talk about something, he would talk about this person, they'd go and see that, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 pages it was just like, here's 20 different pieces of information. So yeah, not amazing, but definitely worth a read. So there we go. And that was all of the things I fully read in July. Not a lot for me. Some people that is a lot. I'm not saying like, oh, if you don't read 20,000 books then you fail at being a reader. It's just, for me personally, I felt very slumpy. I did start 2 other books. So I got about halfway through The Darkest Minds by Alexandria Bracken. This was for the Join the Readathon. This is for the Join the Six Readathon that I'm co-hosting, and yeah, I read about half of it before the end of July. And then I also read quite a bit of Queen of Iron and Darkness by Cassandra Clare, but also, can you remember what I said in my June TBR? In fact, you know what, I'm just gonna insert the clip here. Insert the clip here. What did I say? To be fair, her books are really quick and simple to get through, so it's not too bad. It's chunky, but it's fine. You see, when you're slumpy, that doesn't happen. Here is an example on my Goodreads of when I actually read this, when I started it. It did not take a few days because it's Cassandra Clare and it's easy to read. I literally read a bit and then picked it up like a week later and read a bit more. That shows how slumpy I am. I left it for like a week and I was like, oh shit, it's a Join the Six Readathon in 2 days. I should probably read this book that I'm already partway through, and I still haven't. I only got this much left, so I kind of almost did it in July, but not quite. I can't wrap it up because I don't know the ending. And this is the last book in the series, so I can't tell you what I thought about it without knowing how it actually ends. So you'll find that out in my August wrap up. So there we go, that was all the things that I read in July. Luckily, I feel like I'm coming out the end of the slump. I feel more in a reading mood. I think the Join the Six Readathon has helped that, giving me a reason and a purpose to read, because in like the last half of the month of July, I just didn't feel like reading. I didn't even pick stuff up. It wasn't that I'm picking it up and I couldn't read. Every time I did pick it up, I'd read like 100 pages. I just wasn't picking anything up. So yeah, let me know down below what you read in July, if you read any of these books. If you want to read them now, I've mentioned them. Say some words and I'll reply. That's how this works. And if this is your first video, I mean you enjoy it, then please check out some of my others. And if you continue to enjoy them, please subscribe. That'd be awesome. Anyway guys, I'll see you in a few days with another video. Bye.